All right. Thank you guys. Again, thank you guys for putting up with about 5 minutes of no effing sound. Yes, I will keep it like this. I don't know what happened. I guess, yesterday we had our cleaners come through the house. Oh no, I guess Friday. Friday we had our cleaners come through the house, and I didn't do a show yesterday. So I always break down the office, put it in the garage, and then put it all back up together again. But usually I do another show or something or a reaction. So I know that the audio is set up correctly, but clearly it was not in this situation. So thank you guys so much for being patient with me as I do so. So anyway, no sound again. Don't even joke around. Don't even joke around. Now what? I'm just gonna kill it in a second. Anything? No, nothing. Oh, all good. Okay. People are like saying no sound. Mark Reedman saying no sound again. Is that true? No, it's fine. Okay. All right. Anyway, no, he's trolling. Oh, okay. Mark, I hope you hit your leg on the side of your bedpost for that. So there you go. Yes, welcome everyone. So here we go. Start it all over again. I'm so sorry. I thank you so much for joining me here live on this episode of The Truth. I've been so busy the last few weeks. I haven't done a new episode of The Truth in a while. Plus, the last few days we've been dealing with the Lady Outlaw having COVID. That was her first time having it. So, it's been like taking care of her, making sure she's okay, things of that nature. So I've been kind of stressed out in a number of different directions. Plus I'm in this place now. I'm kind of in this place where things are starting to change for me, and I'm starting to wonder what the next paths are. You guys know me. I never like to sit still. I'm always looking to progress. I'm always looking to change. I'm always looking to try new things or make new decisions. I'm never ever probably going to be 100% happy in anything I'm doing, because I always know it can be better. It's just kind of the curse of who I am. And certainly I want to start focusing on how to get more people involved in the show, and also how to go back to doing more of these kind of solo shows, so to speak, even though I do enjoy doing stuff with the Geek Buddies and the hot mic and Spill the Tequila and all that. It's just I'm kind of realizing as we make some changes here, as we call it the John Rocha channel, John Rocha's got to be on the John Rocha channel. So that's kind of the approach mentally that I'm looking at with this kind of stuff. So we'll see what it leads to in terms of decisions and things I want to do. Perhaps more episodes of The Truth per week, where it becomes something that you guys can look forward to on certain days. And for sure I'll be there on certain days to talk about things and whatever. So we will see as that plays along. No, I'm not breaking up with anybody. I like the channel. I'm trying to make the channel better. I had a person reach out to me who's going to help me get more ads for the channel, which I think will be great to increase the financial results of the channel, which I think are important, and also get me out there a little bit more to hopefully increase the numbers on the channel in terms of the view numbers and the subscribers. Because we're about to get into our 6th year next year of this channel being around, and I would like to get to a point where it's picking people up more consistently than it has been. And so, not that I'm complaining, because I think a majority of people try to start YouTube channels and don't get anywhere close to 40,000 subscribers. So I'm proud of the work we've done. I'm proud of the shows we've done, but I also know that the channel deserves more and should get more. So we will be working on that here, and there are steps that I'm taking to make it more available and more in people's faces and that nature. And I was doing shorts for a little bit, for a few weeks, and then kind of trailed off. So I'll be going back to do that, to doing shorts. A friend of mine, Kevin Smets, he suggested a certain program that I could use that could convert all my long form stuff into shorts. Then I can pick out the shorts I want to put up. So that's going to be fun to see if I can make that work as well. And I'll have a new logo coming soon that'll be up on the banner of the YouTube channel that is going to be animated. And you can see the preview of it on the cover now, like on the thumbnail right now for this show. You see the animated version of myself, or the cartoon version of myself, and that's what I'm going to put up there, because the gentleman who's working on it is fantastic work. He's doing so quickly, taking my notes and putting them in motion. So I appreciate this very much, what they're doing. So yeah, things of that nature are happening, plus all the new graphics and all the stuff going down. So yeah, I will be doing more of this show consistently going forward. I will do more of the smaller content consistently going forward as well, on certain news items as soon as they pop up. And that's, basically I'm going to be sitting at the desk making that happen. So The next step, I also think, is getting a new chair. As much as I do enjoy this lazy boy chair, it's time to get a little bit of a gaming chair so I have more space, more time, and I can feel more comfortable sitting in this situation like an office. So all of that is happening as well. All right. So anyway, we're here to talk about Marvel stuff. We're here to talk about Peacemaker blowing up and getting and the controversy going on here, and people going at each other online, denigrating each other, the controversy, the toxicity, the vitriol being traded back and forth, the unnecessary vitriol being traded back and forth. And we're going to jump into my Tron Ares review. I went and saw that this morning at a Real D 3D screening of it. I thought it was gorgeous. But what about the film itself? Beyond the cinematography, beyond the special effects, beyond the look of the movie, did it work? Did it not work? Here's a quick preview of what I'm going to tell you about the film. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else who acted as if Tron shot their childhood dog. I actually thought the film had some really good moments in it. So we will talk about that a little bit later. We're also going to get into a tribute for Diane Keaton, who sadly passed away over the weekend at 79 years old. And talk about her legacy and talk about her as an actress and what she did as well. So a lot going on here in the world of the truth and the Outlaw Nation. Oh, the John Rocha channel, which is what we are now. Still getting that into my mouth, man. Not easy, but we will see. All right. Anyway, let's get into the first thing. Let's jump in. Oh, yeah. Just a quick reminder, Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. If you want to send in, if there's a topic that's not on the rundown that you want me to talk about, then please feel free to send that in through Streamlabs Super Chats, and I will talk about it. And if it's a topic I don't know anything about, I will do a quick look up and give you my spot reaction to it overall. So, yeah, and I might have some political stuff to throw in here a little bit later on. We will see. Depends on what the mood I'm in. This is the truth. So I tell the truth, my truth, the truth here on the channel. And no subjects are off limits for me. You guys know that. Except for one, and because of stuff that's going on, and I am not as learned on that subject, but certainly no other subject is out of bounds for me to talk about. So send in your love, send in your questions, thoughts, and comments. Would appreciate the support. But let's jump into it. So Marvel had themselves a New York Comic-Con presentation, and quite a lot of stuff was shown here. You got yourself a Wonder Man trailer that was shown. First, there was a teaser, and then a full-on trailer that was shown, and there was more that they announced during this thing. And I'm going to bring up the breakdown here from the direct, or the summation from the direct, and talk about the things that were revealed here. And let's see if that works with the graphics. No, I got to take the graphics down. So let's take the graphics down. There we go. Maybe I could put up the truth behind me. Is there? I don't know if I have the logo of the truth behind me. I don't think I do. Okay, so I'll have to work on that for next time and see what we can create here. No, all right. I know we can get. Oh, here we go. We can get some funky stuff going on behind us. How about just this? I'll just do that. Nope, that's Streamer. That's kind of lame. I won't do that. Blue waves. Okay, sure, that could work to make it bigger. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's take a look at this thing. And I'll make. Oh, actually. How does that work? Does it work like this? Oh, here we go. But I'd like to make myself bigger. So I guess I'll have to come up with there we go. That's a better situation there. All right. So let's bring it up and let's take a look at this thing. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. All right. So New York Comic-Con, every major MCU announcement and reveal, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2 was announced here. The head of Marvel TVs took the stage at NYC, who said Season 2 will return to Disney in fall of 2026 for new episodes. I'm excited about that. I liked that show. Mike Vogel and Shannon and I reviewed it on the Geek Buddies earlier this year, and we enjoyed Season 1. So we're looking forward to Season 2 coming back, saying the major focus will be on Peter Parker's lore and history. Fans remember Season 1 ending with a reveal that his father, Richard Parker, was alive and in jail. His Aunt May paid him a visit, which had feelings of the Amazing Spider-Man, the one that Andrew Garfield did. So it was cool. I'm excited to see that come back. So, but then the big stuff happened here with Charlie Cox. The footage revealed that Charlie Cox was back as the animated variant of Matt Murdock Daredevil. That's awesome. Season 2 will also deliver MCU's first adaptation of Gwen Stacy and remember that she's been in the Sony version of the Spider-Man Marvel Universe, but not in the Disney MCU version of the Marvel Universe. So it would be our first Gwen Stacy that we see, although you would argue Zendaya kind of sat in for Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man No Way Home, but Peter asked the character, "What do I call you?" She responds with a simple Gwen. The footage also included new looks at Otto Octavius, better known as Doc Ock, and Venom. And Peter returns to Oscorp and finds the symbiote before striking a deal with Norman Osborn. And the trailer closes with Robbie Robertson falling off a roof, and it cuts off right before Spider-Man catches him. Ooh, interesting the way they're messing with the canon and the lore of Spider-Man. I like that. Fans of Venom should get excited, is what Brad Winderbaum said. So there you go. Now, X-Men 97 Season 2, and of course, shout out to my brother Bo DeMeo, who is a big fan of the Geek Buddies, and we may have an announcement coming soon with Bo DeMeo on the Geek Buddies. Just, I'm telling you right now, Bo DeMeo's reached out to us. Bo wants to talk to us about something. Bo wants to work on a project with us. So that'll be part of the Geek Buddies thing. So if we can lock that down and get the particulars worked out, I think you guys will be really happy about getting some more insider perspective on X-Men 97 and other things from Bo DeMeo. So for right now, conversations are happening. Negotiations are about to happen, and then we'll figure out what that's going to look like, and then we'll make a big announcement about it when the time comes with Bo. So that will be so interesting if he can. That's really good. The Geek Bodies. I like that. Actually, if Bo's watching, or I doubt he's watching, but if he was watching, I think Bo would get a kick out of that for sure. But anyway, X-Men 97 executive producers Eric and Julia Lewald, showrunners and writers on X-Men anime series, took the stage with Davis to tease what's coming from the animated mutant series. They kicked off the panel by confirming season 3 is in development before telling the crowd that season 2 tease up season 3 in a massive way. The new trailer for season 2, fans saw footage of Apocalypse, who will be one of the main villains for these new episodes. The X-Men are confirmed to be scattered across the past and future as they look to get back to their time period in the 1990s. Jean Grey and Scott Summers' son, Nathan Summers, has grown into a teenager as well. Now, before we go any further, I want to bring up some other stuff that people put out here for X-Men 97 and some of the reactions. I know that is it Richard Marquand had some comments about it as well. Let me see if I can bring up the tweet here. Yeah, the trailer was leaked online. So if you want to watch the trailer, it's like an hour and 51 seconds or minute 51 seconds from at X-Men Update. But here are some photos. I'm not going to play any of the video, but we can look at the photos here. Yeah, here we go. Here's some shots for X-Men 97 Season 2 coming in summer of 2026. There's Apocalypse on the bottom right corner there. Angel as Apocalypse Angel, which is my favorite X-Men ever, bar none, which is really cool to see. And then what else have we got here? Yeah, so you see that clearly. You got Wolverine, you got Rogue, you got Storm, Magneto from behind there, and of course the team down there on the left, which is really interesting. Let's see, Winterbomb. Okay, so asking about the showrunner change, I think fans have a lot of questions about what to expect for season 2. If the vibe and tone is going to be similar to season 1, or if it's going to go in a new direction. What can you say about the continuation of this show under the new creative leadership? Well, first and foremost, Brad Winderbaum says it's actually this entire creative team. Same director, same producer, same cast, many of the same writers, and it's standing on the shoulders of giants. That's a nice shout out to Bo. One thing that makes X-Men 97 work so well is that everybody's rowing in exactly the same direction. Everyone that works on the show knows that original series inside and out, and we work very closely with Eric and Julia Lewald and Larry Houston, who created the X-Men animated series. They're here all the time reviewing material and talking to the artists. The second season feels very much a worthy successor to the first season. Here's another shot of Polaris there with Professor X. So where is that going to lead us? Here's a shot of Jean and Scott. So there's more of that. The shot of Apocalypse, which I think is very accurate, comic books accurate, which I think is awesome. But I thought there was a quote. I guess I should have brought it up. I thought there was a quote from Richard Marquand, who said that there's going to be deaths. Let me see if I can find that. But he said there's going to be deaths. Is that right? I said, okay, so Brad says there's going to be a lot of romance. There's a lot of romance in X-Men 97 Season 2. Well, Rogue and Magneto are stuck in the past together. They're kind of our past team. And Scott and Jean are in the future along with Storm and Forge. So there will be romance on that end. But I guess There's Bishop is trying to bring them back. The Return Apocalypse. Yeah, I guess there's not the Marquand. I thought for sure. Oh, here we go. Ross Marquand. I'm amazed Disney greenlit it because it's so dark. A lot of people die. That's what he said in an interview with Collider there. So yeah, so I'm excited to see what we're going to get from X-Men 97 season 2 because I like that series a lot. And so, as I said, I'll have announcements when the time comes for what we might be doing with Bo DeMeo. It's not a certain, it's not a given, it's not 100% sure, but we are having conversations right now about it. Let's move back to the Marvel situation here. The Daredevil Born Again season 2. They had the panel there. Charlie Cox came out, presented stuff, and then Kristen Ritter came out on stage. I hope you guys have seen the videos of that. Everybody cheering like crazy. Karen Page and Matt Murdock rekindled the romantic relationship they built during the original Daredevil series on Netflix, getting milkshakes in a diner and giving off romantic tension. That's what's in the trailer because they dropped the trailer for season 2. They haven't put it out online, but they dropped it at the panel. And I think there's like 19 seconds of it that's online now. I don't know if the whole trailer is online, but certainly I saw 19 seconds of it and looked excellent. Like the trailer itself. I can't judge, obviously, the season. I haven't watched any episodes, but the trailer itself looked fucking excellent. And they used the right song. It seems like they used the right highlights from it. Also, that Kingpin, they're teasing that Kingpin is all over that trailer. Vincent Wilson Fisk is boxing in a gym. For those of you who collected Daredevil comic books in the past, you know that Wilson Fisk likes to have occasional boxing matches in a gym. And it's also kind of reminiscent of Matt's father, who was a boxer. Matt Murdock's father was a boxer. So he carries a lot of extra weight when he sees that. We appear to have an underground prison, similar to what we saw at the end of season 1. There is also likely a flashback look at Eldon Henson's Foggy Nelson with long hair after his tragic passing in season 1. Yeah, that's the thing that's really interesting because the actor there, Eldon Henson, I think a couple of weeks ago at LA Comic-Con, I can't remember, it was a couple of weeks ago, he said that he wasn't coming back for season 2. And now Brad Winderbaum and certainly the trailer shows that Foggy is back. So Winderbaum cleared up that he will be back, but I think what Eldon was saying as an actor has the right to say is that I'm not going to be back in any significant way. Like I won't be a main character in this thing. And Matthew Lillard is apparently a focus of the trailer as well. He will be joining the cast here for season 2, but he was basically saying that, like, I mean, they ask if you're back. When they ask if you're back, they don't mean, are you back because you're popping up in a recurring thing or a dream or a sequence that's from a previous episode. It's if you're back to play the character and have a meaningful storyline. And I think what Eldon was saying, if I can read between the lines, is that he's not back in the way that an actor would want to come back, which is with storylines and what have you. So it seems like he'll be in a flashback, as this article is alluding to, but not necessarily back fully. So that'll be interesting. And as I said, Ritter showed up here. Jessica Jones is on screen. Yeah, I saw the 19 seconds online. You see her use both hands to knock someone like 19 feet across a kitchen. And when she showed up, you can see the fans cheering in the footage as well. So people are excited for her to be back. I like Kristen Ritter as an actress. I used to watch Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. She used to be repped by William Morris in voiceover. I've had a couple of conversations with her when I was there at William Morris doing voiceovers and sitting in the green room waiting to audition. And she was very pleasant, very nice, but also like very much her own woman. Like it's, that energy comes off of her very strongly. And so I think that's the energy that people like about her as Jessica Jones. So I totally get it. She's not the Jessica Jones I would have cast necessarily, but I know that a lot of people enjoy her. So I'm sure a lot of people are very excited that she's back, and we'll see what we will get. Because I personally didn't like the second season of Jessica Jones. And the first season, the Purple Man stuff got a little repetitive and exhausting. I thought that season could have been cut short by 2 episodes and it would have been just as effective. But it's great that she's back and people are excited that she's back. She called the return surreal, as if no time had passed. And she also said, Davis also discussed, quote, assembling a team to defend New York City, teased a potential Defenders reunion after Netflix's Defender saga ended in 2019. Cox seemed to agree with this sentiment, but fans will wait for characters like Luke Cage or Iron Fist to join the mix. Footage also included Wilson Bethel as Bullseye, but he was not wearing the costume he used in season 1. So yeah, maybe he's back in prison or whatever for what happened there at the dance or at the Function Charity Gala with Kingpin and Kingpin's wife and Daredevil. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that. By the way, are some of you watching Task? Because the actress who plays the ex-girlfriend, the woman who's kind of in the middle of the biker guys, if you've been watching Task, that is Matt Murdock's girlfriend in Daredevil season 1, if you guys haven't put 2 and 2 together. And I think she's so much better in Task than she is in Daredevil. And I think it's mostly because she's actually getting something to do in Task, whereas in Daredevil, she was just basically kind of a nag and a convenient thing to add mystery to the show and add romantic tension or conflict to Matt's life. And then, of course, the Kingpin equation to mess up Matt even more. So, I thought it was a thankless role. I thought she did a good job with what she was given. But when you see her on Task, you know the potential of this actress. And of course, she was really good in, I think, a couple of episodes that she had in that Star Wars show, The Acolyte. So I thought she was good in that as well. And shout out to Jodie Turner-Smith. We're going to talk about this a little bit. So that's what you get for Daredevil season 2, Born Again. And whenever they put out the trailer, I think you guys are going to enjoy the trailer if you don't want to watch the leaked 19 seconds that are out there. And then moving on to Wonder Man. This was a wonderful trailer. I have to say, I'm going to go full on this one. This was a wonderful trailer. I watched it again today. I just thoroughly enjoyed what we got. And I wasn't sure what we were going to get. I like Destin Daniel Cretton. I enjoyed Shang-Chi. I like Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. He's such a strong actor. And I thought, well, if they're bringing Trevor in, it's kind of a bit of a gimmick. Why are they bringing him in? But then when they explained what the show is going to be, which is like a meta commentary on acting, a meta commentary on what it's like to be in the business, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense because Trevor's an actor, right? We've established that in the MCU. And I thought this trailer was a lot of fun. I really was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. As an actor myself, there's a lot of, or a former actor, there's a lot of inside baseball stuff that I remember from my days going to those fucking auditions and sitting there and listening to someone else killing it in the room, and you're going in after them, and you're sitting in a hallway with everybody else's body odor and tension and concern and the way they're working on their lines. It's such a thankless fucking experience, man, until you book something big. So I was getting PTSD watching it. It's kind of like Barry, the show Barry, but whenever they would have scenes in the acting class, my right eye would start to twitch from the memories of being in those situations. So I think the trailer captured what that feeling is like. I think Yahya Abdul-Mateen II brings this great kind of wide-eyed energy to Simon that I really enjoy, and he's willing to make fun of himself and do the comedy, which I think is really great. I like the actress who's playing his agent. That back and forth they have throughout the whole trailer was a lot of fun because I've certainly hounded my agents in the past before, kind of like that. You do when you're kind of desperate and you want something and you desperately want to get it. I mean, you want to get the role. You're constantly wondering if the agent is like disconnected the phone or hasn't called you because they got too busy and you want the news as soon as possible. So I like that element was in there. And I think the Trevor element actually works. I think him coming in actually works. And the banter they have in certain scenes is so fun. I mean, Kingsley is so good at comedy, like deadpan comedy. It's really great. Him in the bathroom telling him, you know what, fuck your process, just say lines and things like that. It's so funny. So having him as like a sounding board. So when he becomes Wonder Man, what will be the commentary then? I wonder what will Trevor's role be in all of this then? He's almost like he's almost like Tony Stark for the comedic side of things in Marvel, right? Because he appeared in Shang-Chi, obviously in the funnier elements of Iron Man 3, and now here in his one shot, which if you guys haven't watched that on Disney Plus is a lot of fun. So for me personally, I thought the trailer had the right energy and got me excited to go see it. So I hope or watch it on Disney Plus. So I hope it's good. It's coming out in January instead of December. So that's a curious move. But we will see on how people respond to it for sure. So what else was teased here? Vision Quest. Yeah, Vision Quest. So to close off the Marvel Animation and Marvel television panel, they brought up Paul Bettany to share new information on Vision Quest. including confirming the show's title. This will mark the third and final chapter in the memorable MCU trilogy. I saw a lot of people pushing back on this, saying that Agatha all along isn't part of the trilogy. Well, what are you talking about? Of course it's part of the trilogy. People are like, it has nothing to do with WandaVision. Of course it has something to do with WandaVision. What the fuck is wrong with you? Agatha was absolutely connected. Agatha was in all through WandaVision. Why the fuck would that not be the second installment in a trilogy for Wanda and Vision? That doesn't make any sense at all to try to claim Agatha is not part of the trilogy. And certainly where we left off, we're going to see where we go with that next, if that leads into this Vision Quest series. Paul Bettany discussed the show by detailing how Red Vision gives White Vision all of his memories, including everything that happened in Wanda Maximoff's Hex during WandaVision. Hey, you should put that on Sam Raimi so he doesn't fucking forget the next time he does another Doctor Strange movie. That'd be great if you could put Sam in that spell and have him download all the episodes of WandaVision. However, White Vision struggles to connect with those memories and lacks the emotions or feelings associated with them. And that would make sense, right? If someone put a lot of memories into your mind after you'd had amnesia and you don't remember these memories at all, even though you're having these memories, it can cause a disconnect. So what is this disconnect going to do to Vision, who does not have those emotions? You know, it's like what they did with Gamora, right? Like they brought in the other Gamora who didn't have the relationship with Peter from a different time, brought her into a current time, and she didn't have any feelings for Peter, and that was a weird, awkward, fun storyline that played out there in Endgame. So it's got elements of that by doing that. Bettany says White Vision's journey through the show is, quote, trying to connect with those memories. Apparently, there was a short trailer that revealed many of the show's new cast members who play human forms of some of the MCU's most notable AI systems. Henry Lewis plays Domi from the Iron Man saga. I remember that was a 5-pointer. Didn't Kalinowski lose on that in the Inner Geekdom for not having that dumb E on the arms? Or am I misremembering that? Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think isn't Henry the one who played Jarvis in real life in Captain or Agent Carter series? I thought that was him. Jonathan Sayers portraying you. Orla Brady embraces the role of Friday, and Emily Hampshire joins the show as Edith from Spider-Man: Far From Home. Now Friday is voiced by what's the actress from Banshees of Inisherin? Carrie Condon, right? So bring in Orla Brady, who is of Picard fame. That's interesting. And Emily Hampshire. Oh no, sorry. James Darcy is here returning as Jarvis. Sorry, Henry Lewis is someone else. My apologies, guys. James Darcy. That's right. James Darcy is his name. Makes his grand return to the MCU as Jarvis, first playing the role in both seasons of Agent Carter before returning in Avengers Endgame. So interesting. So the people who did the voices are not necessarily coming back as the character. Finally, James Spader takes on his first MCU project in more than a decade, reprising his role as Ultron. So that's going to be fun. Because remember, that's like one of the best scenes in Age of Ultron is when Vision and Ultron have that exchange about humanity and that humanity is doomed. So bringing him back, going to be fascinating to see what version of Ultron we're going to get in the back and forths with Vision. The footage concluded with a quick look at Riyad Malika and on a CCTV recording where he is identified as Thomas Shepard. Fans will recognize him as the reincarnated version of Tommy Maximoff, also known as Speed, Billy Maximoff's twin brother and Wanda's son. So good stuff there. Exciting stuff there. So we'll see what that ends up. But I know everyone's down on Marvel. Everyone's coming after Marvel. Everyone's attacking Marvel right now because they're the punching bag for so many things. And I get it, but I thought these were fun announcements. I mean, I liked your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, so I'm excited for a season 2. The Wonder Man thing looks great. Daredevil Born Again. We know that those last 2 episodes, I think, are directed by the creative team that is going to take over for the entire season now. We now know in retrospect that season 1 was basically a Jekyll and Hyde season with a lot of the old footage that they claimed they reshot. A lot of the old footage was actually used in a lot of those episodes. But the stuff that really stood out was the stuff from the creative team that took over after the earlier creative team was removed. So that bodes well for going into season 2. And hopefully that season is much better than season 1, which was at best mixed, I think, in the overall assessment of that season. I also enjoyed the X-Men 97 season 2 stuff. Like, are they going to carry on? We're not going to know until we see the episodes. Did they carry on the mantle of what Bo started, or did they go the safe route as Disney and Marvel has tended to do when they bring up really difficult things? I mean, that's the great thing about Andor, and that's the great thing about X-Men 97 season 1. There were 2 creators who, in essence, were allowed to show their visions fully realized, going into deep, dark places with their commentary that you wouldn't normally see. And the reason they stand out and the reason people love those 2 series is because those series weren't the safe route. They forced the audience to sit and look at things. You know, I was watching last night the David Chase documentary on The Sopranos. I had not seen that ever, right? Last night I was just flipping around looking for something to watch. I've been in a Sopranos mood lately because that's essentially my favorite show ever made. And I was looking at the David Chase thing, and in the first part, by the way, it's excellent. If you're a Sopranos fan, you haven't seen that, you need to watch it. If you're a person who wants to be a showrunner and a writer in the business and you haven't watched that 2-part documentary, do yourself a favor and watch it, because it is a lot about his process, how he came to do the things that he did on Sopranos, his journey as a writer until he got to Sopranos, and then what he did and the struggles and the trials and tribulations of having to write seasons over and over and over again that had to top the season before it. So I thought it was a really excellent documentary. But anyway, in the first part of the documentary, Edie Falco says, you know, or maybe the second part, when she's talking about how the season started to go along and get darker and darker and tackle harder and harder edge topics, she said, we did this at a time when we didn't need trigger warnings. And I'm so sorry. I'm so tired of trigger warnings, she in essence said, because these things are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. They're supposed to make you confront things. They're supposed to make you think and supposed to make you talk with people around you about what the meaning of this stuff is and make you stop for a second and take a look at things. So, you know, I love that. And I really appreciated that about The Sopranos, because it always did. And I hope that comes back. This idea that we have to be really soft with everybody and we can't go too deep in these topics because, you know, snowflakes are going to get mad on both sides of the aisle, all sides of whatever aisle you want to look at. Snowflakes are going to get mad. You don't go, you only talked about it like this much, or you didn't talk about it enough. And it's like, no, let's talk about it. Let's explore the issue within the context. Let's be brave. Let's be bold, and let's do it correctly. Because here's the truth of the matter. They tried to woke fuck. That's my term. They tried to they tried to anti-woke fuck X-Men 97 before it came out. All of these channels tried to do it. Oh my God. They brought in a trans character. My life is over. Oh my God. They're doing interracial romances. Oh my God. They're all this bullshit, right? Because it was a diverse cast. It's not the original cast. It's like, oh, they're looking at them. They're doing this. Blah, blah, blah. What happened? The show came out, was excellently written, excellently acted, and excellently constructed. And when you do that, all the haters have no choice but to shut the fuck up, because people look through them. People look through it, through their bullshit criticisms and go like, well, the fucking thing was amazing. So what are you crying about? You know? And so that's the thing you got to look at here. So it's a challenge. I'm not saying it isn't a challenge, but I think you, as a studio and as creators, you got to rise to the challenge. You got to step up and go, you know what? I know that these anti-woke fuckers are sitting out there just waiting to make money off my shit because they can't create anything and they've got to go attack things that are created. So I've got to make sure that I got to bring my A game with everything. That should motivate you as a creator to do your best work. You know, it doesn't, you don't give credit to them for motivating you, but it should motivate you, you know? And so I hope that happens with season 2, because I love season 1. And I know Bo's got those accusations and Bo's got those things that went down. And I'm not trying to undercut any of that or remove the importance or significance of that or the honestly the implications of that. But I also know that season was excellent, and it was gutsy in the way it approached racism, and the way it approached genocide, in the way that it approached othering people, the way that it approached so many things, politics, global politics. All of that was explored so well with excellent writing and excellent performances from all the actors in X-Men 97. So I hope they carry the mantle, because I'll tell you right now, I will be the first person in line to skewer the fuck out of season 2 if it doesn't do that. I will absolutely eviscerate season 2 if it doesn't do that. So, because that'll be Disney going back to their old tricks, just like they did in Falcon and Winter Soldier, just like they did in Captain America 4, where they try to play it safe so they don't hurt anybody's feelings. We're going to just lightly touch on races, lightly trip through the daisies of racism and then jump the fuck on out. Or lightly tap into sexism and jump the fuck out. And it's like, no, man, if you're going to bring it up and talk about it. or don't bring it up at all. It's one of the two, to be honest, in my opinion. You got to really do the issue justice, or don't bring it up at all, because I've got a million projects I can watch that are lifetime approaches to racism or sexism, and I don't need to watch it if you're not going to fully do it. So just making it clear. All right. Let's see here. What else? What's up, Fiona George? How are you? Hello. Great to see you. Like that avatar. Thank you very much. Thanks to the two super chats that have come in. I appreciate it. Sending your love, sending your support as we go along here on the show, as we wrap up this Marvel section of the show. What do you think? Oh my God. 35 minutes on more. Jesus Christ. All right. Give me your thoughts on Marvel. What do you think of the presentations? What do you think of the news? I saw my brother Josh at Den of Nerds asking if people were really that excited about it. I liked it. I'm excited. I wouldn't say I'm excited over the moon, but I certainly would say that I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do, and maybe just taking a little bit of a step back, getting these things right, builds up the momentum before we, as we move to Spider-Man, move to Doomsday and Secret Wars, and possibly move to X-Men, as we announced on Hot Mic after Secret Wars. So, which I had kind of said already, a year ago when I broke the Punisher Hulk being inspired. Oh no, actually in January, and I broke the Hulk Punisher thing in Spider-Man 4. I also said that the X-Men film was going to be coming right after Secret Wars. I had heard 3 months. Jeff put it at 5 months. So we will see. All right, let's move on. We will get to your questions in a little bit, but let's move on to the controversy going on Peacemaker season 2, the finale. Let's get into the weeds, everybody. Let's get into the juiciness. We're not going to review the show, because if you want to see the review for the episode, that is up on the Geek Buddies channel. The Geek Buddies show. It is up on this channel or on our podcast feed. And you can listen to our thoughts on Chris and what happened to him and where he ended up at the end, and also the relationship with Harcourt, where it all left us, and Harcourt herself, her journey throughout this episode. But what I want to talk about here is what has happened in the fandom since this show came out, since this episode dropped. I feel like we had I felt like we did justice to that episode. We highlighted on the Geek Buddies what worked and what didn't work. We were fair on both sides. I was a little more harder on the episode than Michael or Shannon, but Michael and Shannon pointed out good stuff that I kind of had not looked at or had to concede. And they, of course, had pointed out some criticisms, and then also saw some of my criticisms as well. So I thought we did a great job breaking down that episode and being fair. Like, I think that's the most important thing, is being fair in a review, because you want people to be able to trust that your review is honest and not agenda driven. And I think sometimes some reviewers get caught up in agenda driving their review. Like, I've got to say this about this because I believe in this, and I want to use this platform and use this project or this piece of art to reaffirm my points of views on things. I see that all the time now in the one battle after another reviews. Everyone's like, oh, this is a left-leaning blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it isn't really, actually. It shows that both sides are utter doofuses. And the film is really about focusing on a daughter coming back to her father and appreciating her father, and her father stepping up after years of kind of just getting soft and getting lazy and not being vigilant about what can happen. And so for me, that's why I've seen the movie 4 times. But, people get caught up in their agendas and what they want to push, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But here are some of the tweets that have kind of just shocked me in some of the responses, because there's such a, how can I say this? There's a little bit of there's a kind of denigration of people's opinions on this, that if you don't feel the same way as I do, then you got this all wrong. And I think that's toxic as fuck, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying these people are toxic as fuck, but I mean these takes and what they're saying about people. Like, look at this Moonlight Warrior, who I've gone back and forth with many times. He's followed me, unfollowed me, followed me, unfollowed me. But he says, if you think that the Peacemaker season 2 finale was, quote, a nothing burger, just come out and say you wanted mindless cameos and nothing else, which I think is not, I mean, I think people can, I disagree that it's a nothing burger. I will concede on that point with Moonlight Warrior. So I get where he's coming from, but I also think a majority of people don't feel that way about this episode. They just wanted something more. And they felt like, just like we did on the Geek Buddies, that The scenes themselves were well performed, well acted, with genuine emotion between the characters. However, the way they built to these scenes wasn't as effective as we wanted it to be, so that those scenes, which had power, could have had even more oomph and power and had us crying. Now, some of you did like it, and some of you cried through those scenes, so I'm not taking that away. It's just that I felt me personally, the construction of them leading to that moment didn't quite work. Those moments didn't quite work. David Obie, everyone's dunking on Peacemaker finale. No, everyone isn't, because not a lot happened. No, but I think it's ballsy to double down on the very moving and effective character work rather than just build up to another CGI fight. Fans moan when it's predictable, and they moan when it's different. Fans moan when they're not satisfied. No one was moaning about X-Men 97 as I just brought it up, right? Because they were satisfied. No one was moaning about season 1 Peacemaker because they were satisfied. Because the emotion was done well, it was led to well, it was constructed well. So I think these are a lot of gaslighting, straw man arguments. Peacemaker season 2 doesn't have some big, huge action sequence or a major DC cameo, no death to the team. But what it has is an hour of the sweetest, most captivating, beautifully crafted moments of the entire show. And that's all the satisfaction I need. This scene fucking rocks. I actually didn't think that scene rocked. And I'll tell you why. The scene where because first of all, Vigilante tasers him. They're holding Chris against his will in that room. And then they're giving their emotions to, they are emotion dumping on Chris, right? And I think this is where the scene itself is a little like, Danielle Brooks, who acted the fuck out of that scene and her scene with her girlfriend, like, she's great, but she's just like, you need to do this because we can't do it without you. Like, we need you. Without you, it doesn't work. You taught me to be this. You taught me to do that. It's like, Chris is on his own journey, man. Why isn't Chris allowed to go on his own journey? Why isn't Chris allowed to separate himself from the group for a little bit? Like, I think that would have been ballsy, really ballsy, and honest character work. And what does he say? Honest, grafted. No, what was the word I was looking for? Very moving. And I think it would have been very moving and effective character work if we had Chris go, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I just saw my second father get killed, in essence, or my father get killed all over again. You almost killed my brother. I saw you guys stabbing my brother to death. Now, it's not my actual brother, but it is my brother. And I let out this scream from deep in the pit of my stomach. And then, like, days later, after I've rejected you coming to the prison, we're going to sit in a hotel room and we're going to have a conversation. In one conversation, I'm happy-go-lucky Chris, who's joining Checkmate and solving it, being part of the. This is where I thought that they took a cheap route out of stuff that they had presented. It was very, if I may say this, it was very Marvel TV show-ish to, first of all, go to Earth X and then do nothing with the information they found out about on Earth X. And then with Chris, be like, well, you need to be part of our crew. Without our crew, without you and our crew, nothing can work. We can't make it work. So it's like, I know you're dealing with your trauma, but come be a part of our crew because we need you to do what we need to do. And so I know some of you may be going, well, no, but it was sweet. Yes, it was well acted. It was beautifully well acted. It was emotional. And those actors are all in the room are all good and delivered some really powerful moments, even afterwards at the end, which I got to be honest with you, the hardcore thing at the end was a little weird for me too. Because they walk out and she said, and he's like, did it mean anything? So she's part of the group that's trying to bring him back, yet she's not going to tell him right off the bat that it meant something to him. He's got to ask her over and over again. Like, weren't you just in the hotel room trying to convince me to be a part of your crew? You know that this is a question I've been asking you the whole fucking season. Yet you're going to hold out on me still, even after this whole scene where you guys talk about your emotions and how much I've grown and how much you appreciate me being friends with you. You're still going to make you ask you a couple times whether it meant anything or not. And then he's going to react with the whole, yeah, kind of excitement thing right after. Again, this is incongruous to me emotionally. The fact that he had just watched his father die again, his friend stabbed the fuck out of out of his brother. And he didn't see Hardcore pull a gun and almost shoot him in the head. That would have sent him into another deep trauma. If she had, if she had accomplished the goal of killing, essentially murdering Keith, it would have sent him into. So again, I think you have to honor the things you present. That was my issue with it. Honor the things you present. Do not go the Scooby-Doo route. Do not go the easy route, the Lifetime route. Honor what you present. And if you want to talk about emotions and weight and heaviness and empathy and all these kinds of things, I agree with you. The performances certainly conveyed emotion and empathy and strong connection. The construction leading up to it, I thought, was where the show fell apart for me. And so it's called growth. Ask us how it's this kind of sarcastic stuff that I see going on here from some of the people who were posting stuff, you know, and then I also saw, and I got to say this, some of the people saying things like, well, you know, what they say? Oh, you just wanted suits, or you just wanted cameos, or you just wanted action sequences. And look, I'm not saying there aren't a minority of people and a minority of people who wanted suits or wanted cameos or wanted action sequences. I'm sure there have been people bitching about it, but I've only seen the last couple of days just a small minority of people complaining about it not having suits or cameos or an action sequence. I don't think you need any of those to make a show work, but you can't deny that Gunn was hyping up episode 8. And I get it. For the comic book nerds, they're like, Salvation, this is amazing. I totally get it. But I'll guarantee you 90% of the people watching it did not get that was a big deal at all. Did not get the creation of Checkmate being a big deal at all. So the reveals were great for the 10% of the comic book nerds who were watching your show. But the reality is that you have a responsibility to the casuals when you're making a show to make sure they get what you're doing. And if you hype it up that it's these massive reveals, right? Let's eliminate the word cameo, because there's arguments about whether he was intimating there were big cameos in episode 6 or cameos in episode 8. I don't want to go into the argument of semantics on that. James was hyping up a season, right? But I will say that if you're going to say massive reveals and 90% of the audience isn't going to fucking get it or get the importance of it, then I do think you did a disservice in hyping up the season, you know? And so I think that's what people are upset about, is that he seemed to promise this, but it wasn't a thing that people, or it wasn't things that people were necessarily like, wow, or no, they weren't like, wow. They were more just like, okay, all right, I guess that means something, you know? And then after having said that these episodes or these projects are not connected, he made them connected. And again, this is where I have my problem with James. And I know some of you are going to get upset about this, but he talks out of both sides of his mouth. You know, when it's convenient to say stuff shouldn't be connected, it's not connected. You don't have to watch Superman to watch the show. Well, here's my reveal of Lex Luthor in episode 6. Well, how does that carry weight if I haven't watched Superman? How does bringing in Happerston, whatever his name is, to go and the whole Scooby-Doo Lex Luthor crew, which, God, I hate that whole Lex Luthor. I just want him to all just die a fiery death, figuratively, not literally. How do you get that them being a part of the last 3 episodes is a big deal if you haven't watched Superman, right? Like, that's important. It's not like a wink and a nod cameo. That's actually a big deal to bring them in. And so to me, I thought that was a bit of a lie. And then of course, James afterwards said, well, you know, you got to walk the line between both, but you don't have to. Just don't fucking say anything. Like we've been saying over and over again, just don't say anything, you know? And I wish he would listen to himself more. And then I got to say, I do find it odd that THR article came out and he said how, like, well, you know, I was going to end it before the big reveal of Salvation. I was going to end it happy where they're walking away. They've built Checkmate, but it was Peter Safran who wanted to add this, what now is a controversial ending. And I don't think it's his intention to throw Safran under the bus, but it certainly can be read that way. And I've seen quite a few people reading it that way, that article came out right after the drama and controversy of the finale, where he's essentially putting it on Peter Safran, that it was Safran's idea to do Salvation. And look, James wrote it, James, so he's a part of it. I don't think he can escape blame, but I think it's interesting the first time we hear about Peter Safran being involved in anything with Peacemaker, even though we know he's the co-head, but being credited, I guess, with anything is like this controversial ending. So again, I find that to be a little weird with James. His product, for the most part, I almost always enjoy, although we are building a pattern here, right? Like that ending to Creature Commandos did not stick the landing for a lot of people. And this ending for Peacemaker Season 2 didn't stick the landing for a lot of people. So this is interesting when you look at it, because I thought his Peacemaker Season 1 finale was incredible. And not because of the action sequence, but because of what Chris is going through in that whole episode that leads us to that moment where he is like essentially rejecting the Justice League and their help, and so that was very satisfying. The action was irrelevant to the show. It's to the finale itself. It was the story, the construction of the story and the storyline and the emotions. So, so I just think some people are pushing this nonsense out there about like, oh, people are just obsessed with suits and cameos. And some people were saying like, but I question your ability, your literary ability, if you don't get what James is going for. I think a lot of people are adding headcanon, and headcanon is not real canon. All right. If you look at something, go, well, clearly he's saying this. No, he fucking isn't saying it clearly, because not everybody got it. So clearly he wasn't. And so I just think some people are being, what's the word I want to look for? Pushing false gaslighting, I guess, is the word I would look for. They are purposely, they know they're not telling the full truth about this, but they're purposely gaslighting for attention, to insult it. And I just think it's all a shame, because it just becomes, we can't just have a disagreement about the merits of a show. It has to be about, oh, you have an agenda, or you have a point of view that is antithetical to mine, so I must now assume that you're being toxic. And I think that's the danger of this whole thing. It's like everything, we can never just have a disagreement anymore. Now it's like, you hate it because you don't understand empathy and you don't get relationships. And oh, God forbid there is an action. And it's like, that's all just nonsense, right? When you can just say, well, okay, let me hear your points of views on this. Let me see what you think didn't work. Okay, I disagree. I actually think it did work. Fine. Let me hear what you think worked. Oh, I disagree. It didn't work. Okay. Guess what? We're both the same people. We came into this discussion, and we walk out and we get to enjoy and appreciate the show and defend our feelings about the show. Because I think defending your feelings is another way to really feel confident that your point of view on the show is what you really think about the show. And there's nothing wrong with that. But too many people get caught up in like, attacking people personally and all this kind of stuff. And it just gets exhausting. We don't ever get to have like legitimate conversations. It always devolves into toxicity. Connor says, anytime you criticize Gunn, you get told to stick to Marvel. Yeah, I know. People don't like James Gunn being criticized. And they don't think they're part of a cult, which I think is kind of funny to me. If you think one person can do no wrong, then you are in a cult. It's really that simple. Everyone is flawed. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fucks up. Everyone. And if you think this person's shit doesn't stink or they walk on water, you're in the cult of that person. It's that simple. Look, I love Tom Cruise. I worship at the altar of Tom Cruise. But his Scientology stuff bothers the fuck out of me. It really does. It's really hard for me to fully indulge in my appreciation of Tom. And I remember when Tom was losing his mind, jumping on couches and slapping Matt Lauer's notebook and things of that nature, or being argumentative with Matt Lauer and dismissive and condescending. I hated that. I'm like, what are you doing? But I was willing to say it was terrible, as much as I love Tom Cruise. So you've got to always be aware of this. If anybody saying anything negative about someone, about a creator, offends you, especially, because no one is perfect and all creators have done negative things. Akira Kurosawa was one of my favorite directors ever, if not my favorite director ever, this side of Orson Welles. And guess what? There are films of his that don't work, and there are films of his that do work. And I will call them out when they work and when they don't work, because I don't believe in that cult worship. I wish we could destroy celebrity worship once and for all. And the worst is when you see, I'm probably going to get in trouble, but the worst is when you see these people who are dependent who went to the premiere or, had him on a junket, and they're like defending everything he did in this finale. And you're just like, come on. So, because they want to maintain that contact and that connection. So it gets frustrating. So, but look, we're moving from it. We're moving away from it, and we're going to have Supergirl coming up, which looks like a blast. We're going to have Clayface coming up, which I can't wait to see. I want to see if I like it or not. The horror aspect of a DC Universe character is going to be fascinating. And then we've got Lanterns coming up, which I'm very, very much looking forward to as an HBO show. But I feel like Gunn didn't have much to do with Lanterns. And I don't know how much he had to do with, he probably has a lot to do with Clayface and Supergirl, but I think Lanterns is going to be where you're going to see the potential. I think Lanterns could be like the fucking Andor of the DC universe, and that could be really interesting to see if they open the door to that. So yeah. All right, so that's my thoughts on it. I wish we could just have conversations and not devolve into accusing other people of somehow being media illiterate or literary illiterate because they don't get what James, when it's very clear what James was going for. It's not that hard. It wasn't that groundbreaking or artistically unique what he was going for. And I want to give him credit that I appreciate it, that he went for mental health stuff. He went for trauma and PTSD. He went for a character like Harcourt, who was punishing herself for her pain and her guilt on herself, right? The thing is, when you present those things, because those are very layered, nuanced, and complex issues, to present them as something that can be easily gotten over in a conversation or an opening of the door to emotions, I think is not being honest with the audience, and I think that's where the show fell apart in trying to achieve its goals. Again, both things can be true. Those scenes can be really well acted. The hotel room scene, the scene with Adebayo and her girlfriend, the scene with Harcourt and Chris when she reveals how much it meant to her, even the flashback sequences. Those scenes can be really, really well acted with genuine emotion between the actors. But when you're talking about leading to those scenes and the construction of the storylines leading to those scenes, that's where I think the show fell apart and wasn't as strong. So then when we got to those scenes, you could understand objectively what was happening and subjectively what was happening, but they didn't carry the oomph that they could have carried if they'd gotten it right. All right. I want to stop for a second and do a little plugging for stuff that's going on on all my shows and channels. And the first thing I want to do, if you guys have missed this, my interview with Jason Clarke is up on the channel now. Some of you may have watched the first 2 episodes that have dropped of The Last Frontier on Apple TV Plus. But I want to plug my interview with Jason because I was very fortunate to get 10 minutes with him. They only selected a few people to get 10 minutes with him. Everyone else got the 5-minute junket time. They selected me to do 10 minutes with him. He was looking to do longer form content. So I was very humbled and blessed that he was willing to sit down with me. And we had a fantastic conversation. It was about 10 and a half minutes talking about the show, talking about his process, talking about his career. And so if you haven't watched it, I would like you all to watch it and give it some views so that more Apple TV people will see that and will want to come on and be interviewed by me on my channel, because I love doing interviews. It's really what I enjoy doing the most. Of everything I do, interviews are the most, because I'm always fascinated by people. I love to talk to people, love to ask them questions and hear their points of views on things. You guys know from way back when I did Deep Cut on Collider, that was one of my favorite things I ever did on Collider. Created it on my own, built it on my own, pitched it on my own. The production team obviously did a great job editing it, but sitting down with these amazing directors and actors and creators and producers and writers and asking them about their process and asking them about their lives and how they achieved the things they achieved, I think all that was a lot of fun. And that's where I think I thrived the most as a host, so I hope you guys give it a watch, because I really enjoyed doing it. The other thing is that you guys know I host another show called The Cine-Files. I co-hosted with my brother Steve Morris. Well, this past Friday, we dropped episode 1 of our breakdown of Scarface, 1983 Scarface. It is up wherever you download podcasts, The Cine-Files. We've been doing the show for almost 10 years. This is our 451st episode, our 10th season of the show. And we thought we'd kick it off with a hell of a film in 1983, Scarface, the remake of the 1932 film, of course, with Paul Mooney, directed by Brian De Palma, this film. And, we're probably going to do that thing over 3 parts. And the first part's about 2 hours. And we do a lot of pre-production, talking about how this all came together, how the actors were cast, what the process was like. And then we get into about the first 30 to 45 minutes of the movie. Next part will be about the next hour of the movie, and then the final part would be the final minutes of the film, and then what the legacy of the film and the ramifications of the film are. So I'm very proud of that podcast that I do. We get about 150 to 200,000 downloads a month on that show from a number of people, and we break down great movies, fun movies we enjoy, and certainly Scarface is one of those ones that we've been waiting to do for about 2 or 3 years, and it's finally here. And I am leading this one. I don't normally lead this one. Steve usually leads our show, but I'm leading this one because this film is so very important to me. And I think we generated a damn good episode. So if you haven't watched or listened to that, rather, I highly recommend you all heading over to the Cine-Files, wherever you download podcasts, and listen to it. And I guarantee you there'll be a number of films that you love that we've talked about. And we've had some great guests. Michael Vogel's been a guest. Winston A. Marshall was a guest. Jay Washington was a guest. We did Black Panther with those guys, which was a lot of fun. Shannon McClung has been a guest on the Raiders of the Lost Ark stuff. So we've had some great guests throughout. Perry was a guest for Jurassic Park. Emma Fife was a guest for Akira. And so we've had a lot of people through the history of time be on the show. So, and we've even had Matt Nost. He did the Midnight Run with us. So that was a blast. All right, so there you go. Just a little plugging for the stuff I do here on the channel and on other podcasts. So would appreciate you all giving some love to that stuff. As one, of course, tomorrow I'll be on the Christian Harloff show, 9 a.m. PT. Christian and I talking about stuff going on with the box office and other things going on. All right, let's get into my review of Tron Ares. This is a non-spoiler review. I went to see it this morning, and I have to say right off the bat that I liked the film, but I didn't love the film, and it certainly was more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be, considering some of the reviews I saw. I thought, acting-wise, Jared Leto, I think he did an excellent job in the role of Ares. There was a lot of emotion and, dare I say, soulfulness into how he delivered his lines and the journey he was on as this program that gets created by Evan Peters' character, and where it goes and its design, and essentially, and they call it out, they hang a lantern on it by calling it the Pinocchio thing, that he wants to be a real boy. And I appreciated the journey he was on and the pace with which he did this, so that when things happen, as it rolls out, you're invested in the character and what he's trying to achieve. And so I thought he did an excellent job performance-wise. I thought Greta Lee was great. Really enjoyed her. Although I will say this, one of the criticisms of the film for me is that I felt they made her too much of a passive passenger on the ride that she is a part of. And I get it. She's dealing with trauma, the loss of a family member, and she is in charge of NCOM, which is the company that Jeff Bridges ran all the way back in the beginning of the Tron story there in the first film. But I would have, she has active moments, but I would have liked her to be a little more in charge of stuff. But overall, I thought her performance was well for what she was asked to do. I just would have liked for her to have pushed more chips into the center of the table and had a little bit more of an active part of everything. Now, near the finale, she is more active in the finale, but the leading up to her being more active, we needed a stronger journey being laid out for her because she's dealing with that trauma. Why aren't we checking in with that trauma throughout the movie? Why are we only checking in like every 45 minutes? Like, it's got to be checked in with, so we see her progressing, learning how to deal with that trauma and where she comes out on the other side. Whereas you show us where she comes out on the other side. She has this critical moment of discovery, but you haven't done the effect. You haven't effectively built to that moment of discovery for it to have as much weight as I wanted it to have, or I thought it should have. Jodie Turner-Smith was excellent in the film as well. I thought she was damn good as the other program that is on the side of Ares, and then eventually she gets more power as the film goes along, and really does an excellent job. This is a phenomenal actress. Watching her in this film, I think even more so that she should be the choice for Storm. And I would need to hear the reasons why you don't think she should be Storm. She carries the power, the weight, the majesty, the nobility, the grace of Storm. And I think she could nail it, because there are moments in this film where she really brings a powerful performance to bear. And you're left with like, whoa, this is actually so interesting. She comes off as much more formidable than you initially anticipate that she will be. And I like that as a arc of a character, right? I thought Evan Peters was fine. If I hadn't seen Boyd Cavalier already in Alien Earth, I don't think this performance would have felt like a copy, but like watching Boyd Cavalier do the Nepo baby tech bro who is in love with the smell of his own farts, I would have found this performance a bit more interesting. But for me, it felt a bit more like he was putting it on. It didn't have the weight that I felt it should have had. So for me, I found him to be a little bit of the negative part of the movie. Even though I think he's a damn good actor. I loved him in Mayor of Easttown. I enjoyed him as Quicksilver, and even in the cameo, the episodes that he did in WandaVision, I thought he was excellent as that character as well. He's a damn good actor. I just thought in this, just didn't bring the right kind of unique performance for a tech bro that you were looking for. Gillian Anderson was good too, but again, Gillian Anderson is made to be like someone who looks like she just took a paycheck to be part of a big franchise film. The stuff they give her to do is not much at all. Just to come in to occasionally lambast her son, or to what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Don't you see what's happening? Why won't you stop? You've got us all in trouble. What the hell? Oh my God. Like that's basically what she did in the whole movie. And it was frustrating to witness. But I did like the direction of the film. I think that guy has got a really good eye for what he's doing. And so direction wise, I think the film was excellent. I think the cinematography, I don't want to say excellent. People misinterpret that. I thought the cinematography was just jaw dropping and stunning. The visuals of this stuff I've never seen before. And I'm a huge, I'm into this kind of tech, new wavy design. And when they go from the new design to the retro design that happens in the movie, when this dude shows up, I thought they did an excellent job of that as well. I was actually like a kid smiling, like I was 12 or 13 again, seeing the graphics and the look of the tech from that time in the 1980s. I thought that was amazing. So, but where the film falls apart and why I can only give the film 3.5 cowboy hats out of 5 cowboy hats is the story. The story wasn't strong enough. Some of the writing, I think some of the writing is saved by the level of actors that you cast in the film. But like the character of Arturo Castro, who I enjoyed his comedy show that he did, his Latino comedy show that he did, where he did all those different characters. He's a very funny guy, but you don't do anything with him. You don't build up. It's her friend. Okay. What's his role? We don't know. He's comic relief. That's his role. Well, what more is there here? Right. Hassan Minaj as well. And his assistant, I assume she's his assistant. They're presented in convenient moments, but there's no weight given to their characters. So when they do the things that they do, you're just like, oh, okay, this is a plot point. They needed them to do this so they could get to the next thing. And I think that's always a danger with films like this, is you've got to people get mad when I say this, but flesh out these characters so that we can be more invested in the world. So when the things happen, they carry more weight. It's always frustrating when I see movies or TV shows that just don't understand that basic concept that is so important and makes all the difference in the world. Honestly, in a show being damn good or great, or a film being damn good or great, is like what you do with the ensemble characters, the side characters. If you're going to give them important actions to do, I'm not saying the secretary that takes the coffee orders in the film or in the TV show. I'm saying if you're going to lead to that person doing something important that saves lives or that stops a certain thing from happening, you've got to build up to that, especially if you're going to give them a relationship with the main character. I've got to understand what their relationship is. I got to understand where it comes from and what have you. But, for the story issues and the script issues, and there are a few, because just the way they construct the story, just the way they have convenient things, like these the stuff was going on, like it would be a much bigger deal the way they play it out in the movie than what we see in the movie. Although the police, the military get involved for sure, which I thought was nice to have a little bit of realism there. I think just some of the story beats themselves seemed very lightweight. And they kind of run through certain moments that I think they should have sat in a little bit longer to really get the audience to understand what was going on and feel the weight of that. And I thought that was a negative thing overall. But and I think they blew it in trying to talk about the idea of technology run amok. What happens when there's an unfaithful leader or an unreliable leader, rather, in charge of technology, what it can lead to. I mean, Elon, all those, Peter Thiel, all these, Ellison, all these people, like they revert to their petty, misguided conspiracy theory, love, and nonsense, and they use their tech to push that, right? And that's in essence what the film is kind of commenting on through the character of Dillinger, which is Evan Peters' character, who is the grandson of the original David Warner Dillinger character in the first movie. They present that stuff, but they don't really explore it. And again, I think it's important, if you're going to present concepts, you got to explore the dangers of what can happen with technology run amok. Not just show us the consequences, but actually see what is happening within the characters and what's going down. They didn't do that as well and effectively as I thought they could. Plus, I wanted more, as well acted as Jared Leto's character was, and I thought it was, I wanted more with his journey of trying to become this thing. Why did you want to become this thing? What is driving you to become this thing? You presented this program who's constantly questioning right off the bat. It should progress to the point where you start to question. The fact you're questioning from the beginning, I think, kind of undercuts the journey in a lot of ways. And I thought that didn't work for the movie overall. And this scene was a lot of fun, a fun cameo. But again, it was just a plot device instead of a forum for having a legitimate conversation that went back and forth with different points of views and questions and comments and commentary. It just was like, oh, let's get to the next thing. And so that's where I thought the film kind of lost its power. And again, this is Disney presenting these concepts, but not really diving into these concepts. And that is so frustrating because I thought this film had the potential to be the best installment in Tron. I mean, all the bones were there. I just think they stripped so much of the flesh off that some of those scenes, all you had was bare bones. And that was frustrating because I think there could have been much more. This film could have been much more poignant if it had dove into those concepts a little bit more and explored those and challenged the characters with the concepts in those situations. So as I said, 3.5 stars out of 5 stars. I definitely still think if you're a Tron person, you should go see it. And I'll say this: the thing, I see some people acting in their reviews like this film shot their dog. Like, let's get something straight. None of those Tron films have been excellent. None of them. Okay, the previous two, none. Even the animated series, which I liked, had its issues. What people need to understand, and this occurred to me as I was thinking about it in the end credits, was the reason we love this franchise is because it's imperfect, is because it's not great. There is something about the franchise itself that it presents these concepts. It challenges us with technology. It explores this, like, because in the second one, it was all about a father and son, and a father abandoning his son to be obsessed with his work, what happens to his son, and about forgiveness and about closure, right? This film is also about closure in a way, but they don't dive into it enough. But the reasons we come back to this franchise, and I don't know if there'll be another installment, I can't imagine they will, looking at the box office, is because it's imperfect. So when you try to act like the first Tron and the second Tron with these amazing fucking films, and then the third film comes out and it isn't great, I think you're being a little unfaithful, or you're having selective amnesia or convenient amnesia about how Tron Legacy and the original Tron are not as strong of films as you think. So just throwing that out there, and that's my 2 cents on that. 3.5 out of 5 cowboy hats. I would have liked to be a little bit higher, but I can't ignore the story issues, and I can't ignore some of the dialogue that goes on in there, and the potential wasted to explore these themes of technology more, these themes of trauma and closure and moving on and embracing life instead of embracing death, quitting instead of staying the course and fighting through the pain. Like there's a more what it means to be human. Because I mean, that's a massive one that wasn't explored. It should have been explored so much more effectively in the film. I think that would have been much more interesting for sure. So there's my thoughts on it. Oh, and one last plug. I didn't say this earlier. The Geek Buddies were the guests of FM DeMarco. He's got a Tuesday morning podcast that's out there, and we explored the Tron movies. Obviously, we hadn't seen Ares, but we talked about the trailer. But we explored the Tron movies and talked about the series, the franchise itself. So if you want to listen to me, Mike, and Shannon talking with writer and animation guru FM DeMarco on his new podcast, feel free to find that on wherever you download podcasts and have a lot of fun with that. All right, let's see. What else do I want to? Oh, yes, let's get into the tribute and thanks for the Streamlabs super chats, everybody. I will be answering them shortly. Let's talk about this. Sad. Diane Keaton has passed on at the age of 79 years old. This is a woman that I remember watching in The Godfather as Kay. I remember watching her as Annie in Annie Hall. And I even remember Baby Boom being this like really groundbreaking type of film back in the 80s when women were working, and this exploration of women working and having kids and can they have it all. It's a really groundbreaking movie in that way. But of course, people know her for The Godfather, for Annie Hall, but also for films that came later. The Nancy Meyers stuff, the Nora Ephron stuff. And what Whitney Cummings pointed out, comedian Whitney Cummings pointed out, and I saw quite a lot of women point out as well, is her style. Her being this kind of fashion icon, the style icon as well, showing women that they could look a certain way and dress a certain way that had kind of a style to it that was more comfortable for women who gravitated to this kind of look. So I think she should get credit for that as well. But a wonderful actress who did so many incredible films, won the Academy Award for Annie Hall. And she talked about, and this is a good thing to bring up for some of you who may be struggling with your bodies. I know I'm still, even though I've lost 50 pounds now, there's still kind of in the mentality of like, well, do I look good or do I need to drop more? Like these things that go on, we all struggle with that, the body stuff. She talked about this as she got older, that she kind of let go of all these conversations about her body and her insecurities and her worrying about aging. She said, I feel that wrong can be right. It can be right in a lot of ways. So all those things that you're disappointed with in yourself can work for you. And I thought that was a really powerful thing. You know, some of you are young who watch me and listen to me. And the thing is, when you get older, you realize like the things that you think are flaws are actually things that people love about you. And it's not saying that you shouldn't work on yourself. You shouldn't try to correct those things. But those things are the things that people love about you. You know, the way you look, or the things that you are really hard on yourself about, like, oh, I got a freckle here, or my one breast is bigger than the other, or my arm is longer than, or any number of things that we all come up with, because no one looks at our body more than we do. And so we tend to be critical of ourselves in harsher ways, because we know we have visions of what our body should look like and want to look like. And especially as you get older, like the body that you had in your 20s is not the body you're going to have in your 60s, 50s, 70s, whatever, you know? And so how do you reckon with that? And I think what you're seeing now, all these weight loss drugs and everybody being obsessed with those weight loss drugs, which I get, for people who have a legitimate need for the weight loss drugs, like diabetes, like no judgment. But for the people who are taking it for vanity, as we're seeing almost all of Hollywood do, they're going for the emaciated look, which is so ironic because these are the same people that have been complaining about body shaming in Hollywood and how people have an unrealistic expectation. Well, you can't say that and then participate in the pushing of the narrative by going on those weight loss drugs so you can look completely emaciated and bone thin. Yeah, you choose one or the other, you know? And so to me, I think that's the problem with those. There's a natural way to do it. I simply changed my diet. I didn't run. I haven't lifted one weight. I haven't walked 1 mile consistently. I did none of that. I just simply changed my diet and stuck to it. That's it. That's all. I lost 50 pounds doing that, you know? And so it is possible. Not everybody's the same, obviously. And I'm not judging people that struggle with their weight. I'm just saying there are avenues other than doing this. But I think the thing that brings that about is people have a negative opinion of their body. They have a hard time accepting. So I like that Diane Keaton said that, yeah, she was discovered by Woody Allen. She was a understudy in the musical Hair back in the 1960s. Famously did not go on stage naked, refused to do it. But that's where she met Woody Allen there in the 70s. She got into his played against Sam, then did the movie, then Sleeper, Love and Death, Manhattan, which I think is Woody Allen's greatest film, and of course Annie Hall. Although Zelig is a close second. God damn it, I love Zelig. I fucking love Zelig. As I said, she won the Oscar, and she defended Woody. Like she said, that's never going to change. He's my very, very good friend. Defended him through all the controversy and everything, and so, it's like we're seeing now with Cena and Vince McMahon. I don't like it, but Cena is never going to say anything negative about Vince. No matter how many texts come out, videos come out, whatever, he's never going to say anything negative. So some people who make you just can't turn on them, and so I understand her points of views on that. And then later she did a number of other films. She did Reds. I don't know if you guys have seen Reds. It's a great 3-hour film with Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty. Something's Got to Give. That was a really interesting film. But she also did a film called Looking for Mr. Goodbar back in the 1970s, which is about this woman who gets murdered by a one-night stand. And it was a kind of a commentary on the sexually free time of the 70s and what that can lead to. So very interesting. But then First Wives Club, a lot of people like that as well. So an incredible legacy as an activist, as an actress, as a fashion icon, but also just as an energy. She was so, Carol Kane, her friend, very, very great actress, Carol Kane. Some of you remember her from Scrooge as the fairy there that hits Bill Murray with a toaster. She said that Diane Keaton was playing the love interest role well after the time that most actresses get a chance to play the love interest role. And she said it's because as Diane got older, she embraced herself more and more. And there was a sexiness in that. And audiences felt that and gravitated to it when you saw her work. So I think that's a wonderful thing to say, and I think that's something that we should all aspire, including myself, to be in that place about ourselves. It's accepting ourselves more and not judging ourselves more. I think that's a really hard thing to do. It takes therapy, takes discipline, takes commitment to doing that, but God love you, man. It's an incredible thing. And what a legacy she leaves as an actress. I loved her in The Godfather. I thought she was great. The Godfather 3, but like 1 and 2, that scene with her and Michael where Michael slaps her after he finds out that she's taking the kids and stuff. Like, she's got so many amazing moments in those 2 Godfather movies that I don't think we would love the Godfather movies the way we do if we didn't have her as this kind of person on the outside who's on the inside, and I think it's important to have her as an energy who is constantly calling out the villainy of the Corleones, because we naturally want to like the Corleones and we even respect and love the Corleones really when you watch, and that's why we go back and watch the movies, but you need to have that energy of like someone who's like seeing through all the bullshit. And she did such a great job with that as well. And I thought in Annie Hall, just her laid back energy throughout the whole movie, her laissez-faire, when everyone else is so stressed out about everything, she is this kind of like rolling through life. And you meet those people and you envy those people. You envy the people that are just like, they don't worry about everything all the time. They're not constantly having the dark cloud. They're like people who just have this kind of natural ease through life and just believe in the best. And it's not easy. So I liked her in that film as well. So, but R.I.P. Diane Keaton, thank you for the incredible work that you delivered here and left us with. And I'm sure there are many actresses who are very influenced by her and her work as well. So, all right. Is there anything else you guys? Well, let's start answering some questions because I don't know if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about. Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, but let's get some questions. We got 11 of them. Thank you so much. I'm going to take the comments out. Here we go. KJ says, I believe that men and women can be platonic friends, but I know some people are against it. What is your opinion on the subject? Oh, great question. Very reminiscent of When Harry Met Sally. I think men and women can. I have many female friends that are platonic female friends. For me, usually my female friends are women I don't find attractive because I do think that can get in the way. But it's not that I don't. It's not that I don't have friendships with some women that I do find attractive. I do have a few of those, but the majority of the women that I'm friends with are women that I don't find attractive, even though they are objectively attractive. I'm gonna make that clear. But I think it's different for everybody, right? Some people can't. Some dudes can't be friends with any woman because they're kind of always waiting to have sex or whatever, and some women can't be friends with men for their own reasons. I'm not a woman. I don't know what the reasons would be, but it all depends. But I think as you get older, if you have any semblance of self-awareness and you start to mature, you really start to cherish the female friends in your life. Speaking as a male, because they offer you different perspectives on things. And I think the Me Too movement, I know some people want to denigrate it and put it down and all that nonsense, but for me, the Me Too movement, I thought was a really illuminating time as a man to look at some of the behaviors of the past that I and other men participated in because we were conditioned or trained to be this way, like, persistent asking of a woman out, persistently telling her how much you think she's attractive and you think she should give you a shot. Things of that nature that I was trained from the young age that's how you get. And watching movies, right? How many movies are full of dudes who the woman constantly says no, but he just keeps trying. Then eventually she gives up and they have this wonderful romance, right? Those things. But like when you sit down and talk to women as you get older and hear their points of views and their perspectives and things they deal with, I mean, if you're remotely a decent human being, it will open your eyes to the experiences that they go through, and it will give you empathy for women. It'll help you understand women more. So I think it's important for men and women to be friends, but I do think there are some men who can't do that, and I do think there are some women who can't do that. So it's always, as with everything, it's always a case-by-case basis. That's my overall thought on that. Thank you, KJ. KJ says, your dislike for King of Queens is the only thing I ever disagree with you about. The chemistry among the actors are hilarious. Leah Remini is... Hey. I love Leah Remini. I've never said anything negative about Leah Remini. I think she's great. Whenever I watch clips on the show, she's amazing. I'm just not a Kevin James person. I like Jerry Stiller. He is great on the show. Patton Oswalt is great on the show. The blonde from Mad TV or In Living Color, one of the two, she's great on the show when I've seen clips or on TikTok or wherever. But him, I just don't. And that's okay. Like, Kevin is a multimillionaire. He don't give a fuck what I think about him. But just something about him, I don't like him. And then when he screwed over Aaron Hayes on that show that he did when he came back and tried to do another sitcom, the way he screwed her over to bring Leah on, I thought that was an asshole move. So I think he's a bit of a prick, and I think it comes through. And I read people really well. I do. And I think for me, he's just not my cup of tea. And so that's always kind of ruined the show for me. It's not my jam. Just not my jam. John Burkhardt said, how was your Ghost of Yotei playthrough? I got to be honest with you. It's so different from Tsushima that I'm taking more time. And by that, I mean, I'm not playing for hours and hours and hours. I'm just playing for like an hour here or there because it is dense. There is a lot going on. And it is so different from Tsushima in terms of the stories that are being told. That, like, I just fought off the dudes in the snow when I was trying to lead the merchants into the cave. Like, that was an insane experience. So I think the game is amazing, but there's so much that I'm just kind of like taking my time, and I'm still kind of mentally in the Tsushima type of mindset. So it's a whole different thing, but I'm very proud of Erika Ishii, who is the lead of the game. Erica and I have occasionally worked together way in the past when I was first starting out hosting shows and doing recaps and things of that nature. So I was very happy to hear that and when I watched the game, it's so weird to see that it's Erika Ishii's face on there playing the main character. So it's so cool. It's not 100% her face, but it certainly is like 90% her face. So it's so much fun to see that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Just going slower through it than I did with Tsushima. Like Tsushima became an addiction for me. So maybe Yotei will become an addiction down the road. But for right now, it's much more of okay, all right, let's get into this, Let's see. JMB says, appreciate your interview with Clark. Hoping for more. Me too, JMB. I emailed Apple TV and thanked them very much, and then sent a link to the interview and said I would love to do more of these in the future. And One of the publicists got back to me and said, absolutely, we will look at you are you cool with writers and directors? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Would love talent because that gets the most eyes, but certainly I would be open for any directors or writers of their projects to come on and have a conversation with me. And hopefully I can lobby for longer, because that's where I would really love to do, is with a writer or director, sit down for like 30 minutes and go like, okay, let's talk about this scene, that scene. Let's talk about the construction of your show, without being spoiler specific. What were you thinking with this? What were you thinking with the storyline? What do you want to accomplish? That's fascinating stuff. Thank you, JB. KJ says, I've been watching videos on the Beatles' worst songs. What is your opinion on their worst top 3 songs? Revolution 9 is too easy. Wow, the worst songs of the Beatles. Jesus, that is a hell of a question. Let me see here. Let me see what pops up for me and if I agree with these assessments. Revolution, Wild Honey Pie? No, I like Wild Honey Pie. I like Maxwell Silverhammer. Fuck off. Run for Your Life If You Can? No, I like Run for Your Life. Yellow Submarine is fine, although the Lady Outlaw hates Yellow Submarine. Obla Di Blada, I love Flying. Good Night is good. I like that. Ringo Starr. Good Night. Rocky Raccoon is great. Why don't we do it in the road's fucking great. Honey Pie is great because I love the old school type of, you know my name, look up the numbers, a lot of fun. Oh, I don't know, guys. Let me see. Vulture ranked the 240 okay, ranked from worst to best. Let's see what Vulture has at the bottom of it. Good Day Sunshine. That's a good song. Good Day Sunshine. Dig it. Everything on Let It Be is great. Little Child's great. Dig a Pony is great. Fuck off. That should not be near the bottom. Free as a Bird. Free as a Bird I liked. I liked that when they came back with that. I like the new Beatles song too. Oh, this is tough for me. I really would have to sit and think about this. Only a Northern Song. I guess I'm not a big fan of that. And I know this is going to break your hearts, some of you. I don't like the George Harrison sitar one that he has on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I hate that song. I do not like that song. It's not. I know a lot of people like it. This is musically the most amazing thing. Not for me. Just not my song. And maybe because I'm just not into that kind of psychedelic sitar stuff. It's not my jam. So that's what I would tell you right now. But I would have to sit down and think about it a little bit longer. Maybe that'd be a fun short for Steve and I to do as big Beatles fans on the Cine-Files. Maybe we'll bring Scott on and talk about our 3 worst songs. That could be fun. Thank you, KJ. Okay, here's Fiona George. Says, what do you think about Wonder Man dropping all the episodes at once? I don't know why Marvel are doing this. It feels like they have no faith in the show. Yeah, that's basically what it means. 100%. Just like they did with Echo. If they are dropping it all at once, it's because they don't have a lot of faith in the show. And the fact that Brad Winderbaum said, well, we don't want to drop Wonder Man in December because we don't want people to forget about it because they're so caught up with Elf and Love Actually. That is such a terrible thing to say. Bro, if your shit is good enough, people aren't going to give a fuck about Elf and Love Actually. They're not going to let Elf and Love Actually stop them from seeing a new Marvel show. They can always watch Elf and Love Actually at Christmas. They will watch the Marvel show as well. Like they dropped What If. They dropped What Ifs all through Christmas seasons, the last 2 seasons, right? So why would this be any different? So to me, I think that's a little weird. But I get it. They claim that they're trying to grab the WandaVision time in January, but I think dropping them all at once is a little suspect. So I hear you, Fiona. I don't like it either. Jay Baymash says, after Peacemaker season 2 finale, do you think Gunn should reign? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me take this off. Sometimes I forget. I have a pair that gives me a better sight of things. Here we go. There we go. Now I don't have to look up and down. All right. After Peacemaker season 2 finale, do you think Gunn should reign in his needle drops? I know it's his style, but it felt forced compared to Superman or Game of Thrones. Well, listen, I'd be how can I say this? I would be remiss to use one episode where the needle drops didn't work and ignore all the other episodes where it did work and ignore all the other movies where it did work to say like he should rein it in. He went a bit far. I do think James is going to hear the criticism and maybe, be a little more, how can I say this? A little more judicious in when he's going to drop these needle drops. That being said, though, we're not going to see another movie from James until Man of Tomorrow. So we will have kind of forgotten the needle drop issue by the time we get to Man of Tomorrow. So when he does do it, hopefully he'll have a little more of a careful approach to do it and pick the songs that work. For me, yes, a couple of needle drops are a little much. Having the band come in, be meta, and who sang the theme song, I thought that was like ridiculous. That's where I think you should. That I definitely think you should pull back. That was a little too much inside baseball. This is the concern I have with James, right? And I think again, I like a lot of James's stuff, but when you give him free reign and there's no one to stop him, because Safran's not going to fucking stop him, then he's going to go out too far. Like that scene where the imp is essentially fucking the mouth of Tim Meadows' character. I was like, why? Just why? I get that you still want to be a 14-year-old boy and think this stuff is funny, but it's really not necessary. It's so low rent, and in a show where you're dealing with trauma and you're dealing with mental health issues and you're dealing with stuff, when you throw in that shit, I think there's a way to do humor. I think a lot of Peacemaker worked this season with the humor mixed in with the drama. But when you throw in that extra shit, that's the shit that I think it goes too far, and you're trying to play to those guys who really enjoy that kind of shit. It's just dumb. KJ said, do you think that the failure of the Smashing Machine has to do with the fact that most people never heard of Mark Kerr and The Rock looked unrecognizable? I think the first part of your suggestion is correct. People don't know Mark Kerr. They don't know his story. So I thought that was an issue. I also think, as I've said before, The Rock burned too many bridges with his behavior after Black Adam, his behavior with the WWE, his behavior after Baywatch, and a couple other things. Like there was an arrogance, an ego. There was a obstinance from his side of things. And I think that burned bridges, which is why I want to give him credit for saying, hey, I learned my lesson, but this box office didn't do well. I understand I can't control the box office. I can only control what I do as an actor. Whether that was a canned response and written for him or he genuinely feels this way, I hope that is the attitude he carries forward. Because if Moana comes out, I don't think Moana's going to underperform. I think Moana, people are going to love Moana. But if for some reason it underperforms, then you've got a situation where The Rock has become possibly box office poison. And that is something I never thought would happen after he achieved success. So, yes, I do think the fact that Mark Kerr was not, but the fact that he looked unrecognizable and nothing new. KJ, like, they were promoting him like all over the place for this movie. So you knew he was in the movie regardless of what he looked like in the movie. I also think MMA is such a niche thing. People aren't running out to see MMA movies. Kingdom was an excellent series with Frank Grillo. Nobody watched that show. They barely survived season to season. Warrior, an excellent movie from Gavin O'Connor with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton. Hardly anybody went to see that movie. It did decent. It didn't do great. It's an excellent movie. So I just think those are the two things that came together. First, they don't know Mark Kerr, and MMA is kind of a niche thing. If it had been the Conor McGregor story, people would have shown up in larger numbers. But because it's someone they didn't know, I think that was an element of it for sure. All right, KJ says, what did you learn from being the producer on Collider Heroes? Any fun John Schnepp stories? Oh, man. What did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn on the John Schnepp show on the story? First of all, I learned, as much as I love John was at times a difficult guy to produce a show for because John would change his mind at the last minute. Sometimes John wouldn't come on time. John sometimes wouldn't adhere to the time constraints of the show. That's why they brought me on, is that no one else was able to control him. And I promised them when they brought me on that I was going to be able to keep John in line. And so, because I don't fear anybody. I don't have a problem with it, and so I said to him, hey man, and so when he was going past, I took to the point where I was walking across the cameras that he had to look at with like the sign, 1 minute, to make it clear he's got to wrap it up, and so we would have in our post-show conversations, it would be about like his timing on stuff. But that was my only complaints I had with John. He was such a giving, kind person. And yeah, could he talk shit about people? Of course. There were a couple of car rides where he talked some stuff about people, and we all do. And I think that wasn't, it wasn't a natural characteristic of his. He was a very genuinely cool dude, nice guy, loved people, but he also saw through people. And I think that was one of the things that was really illuminating for me. And even some of the people you enjoy now. He had some comments on that I found to be pretty revelatory as I got to know them later in this business. But I never portrayed myself as a friend of John's in the level like Dennis Zen was and Christian was and other people were. I didn't take it on when he died either. Even though we worked together constantly on that show. That was for other people who had legitimate long-term friendships with John to feel pain about. And so I never wanted to use his passing as any kind of thing for myself. Like even when they asked me to host the show on his passing, I was a little hesitant about it because I'm like, there are people who know him longer, but I went to see him in the hospital. It was devastating. It was heartbreaking. This massive man on this bed being taken down to, I got to say some things to him, which I thought, was experience reminding me a lot of my dad, going to see my dad in the hospital. That feeling is whoever's there and you care about that person. It's a rough experience. But I also learned like to be more of a nerd, like to embrace the geekdom more. I think that was something that John really did so well, is that he made it okay to be sweaty. He made it okay to be an uber nerd because he was so successful doing all the things that he did, but he never radiated. He didn't have a fucking car. Like people drove him to places, and so John had this kind of approach to life that was, he embraced who the hell he was. He embraced the fact that he loved comic and he could talk about it so knowledgeably and like real in depth. And even when people who would initially kind of make fun of shit, when he would talk to them, they would come away just wowed at John's interpretation of this stuff because he's really intelligent. And he would bring in like historical stuff, bring in literature stuff. Just was really smart about a lot of things, John. Deceptively so. Because when you see him on the street, it's like this big hulking dude with the kind of, he's got this face and he's got the beard and the scraggly hair, and you don't know what you're going to get. And then you sit down with him, you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy is so fucking smart. So yeah, that's my experience with John. But again, I want to make it clear, like I was not like the massive friend of John Schnepp. I was his producer on that show. I would occasionally drive him to things that we got together and do. And we'd have fun conversations. But in no way was I like going to John's house or going to a movie with John. That was just never the relationship we had, and to be fair, because that's something I don't have with a lot of people, and you got to earn that with me, and so that's the thing. So yeah, but yes, fun John Schnepp stories. I would always see the crack of his ass, whenever, anywhere, or anything, or getting out of anything. It was always John Schnepp's crack of his ass that you saw, man. So it was an intimate experience with that butt crack of his through a majority of the time I was at Collider. But no real like John and I went on this crazy adventure fun stories, not at all. But I always had fun. I can't speak for John. I don't know what his experience with me was like, but I always had fun talking with him about this stuff and ball busting him, and also occasionally getting into heated debates or arguments about like, you got to stick to the fucking plan. We would have occasional ones like that, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I mean, the guy taught me so much, and he was a fun guy to produce. I don't want to produce for anybody else anymore, but that experience was incredible. So yeah, that's what I would say, KJ. Thanks for the question, buddy. Jody Money. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it. Kim's Workhouse has been rambling for an hour. I'm here for it. Yeah, I told you guys I had a bug up my ass. I just wanted to get on live and talk about shit. That's what I pitched it that way, and that's what I did. Thank you, Calvin. DUI Chip says, hey, Mighty Rocha, I'm prepping my blue donkey costume for No Kings Rally. Nice. I need something cool on TV while I work. Keep up the show. Thank you, DUI. And we will be out there on the 18th ourselves as well. The Lady Outlaw sent me the thing yesterday, and we are absolutely going to be out there. And especially now that she's done with COVID, we will be out there on Saturday. And no amount of stupid bullshit from Mike Johnson telling us that it's anti-American to be out there. Go fuck yourself. There's nothing more American than protesting the current administration, protesting any administration. There's nothing more American. Teddy Roosevelt said it best. He said, don't just believe anything they tell you. And if you think, he said the most American thing to do is to take issue with your government and protest your government. So that's some weak-kneed snowflake bullshit that they're trying to push out there, that the protests are anti-American that's nonsense, utter fucking nonsense. So don't buy into any of that stuff. Go to your protests and stay strong. Don't commit violence. Don't do anything terrible like that. But certainly have a right to speak your mind and tell the truth. And all that bullshit narrative about signs and people are paid for by, it's all nonsense, all utter crap that they're pushing out there. People are legitimately and organically having an issue with the things that are going on in our country right now. And they want a place to speak their piece. And just like all those people protested Biden for 4 years, crying and moaning in the let's go Brandon bullshit, we got a right to protest as well. And I bet some of those people are now seeing the light on Trump and would join the protest. So I see more and more Republicans turning their back on the MAGA agenda as it goes along, because they know that it's going to turn on them. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not that I necessarily put a lot of stock in her points of views, that are all of a sudden this change in her points of views, because it's to me, it feels like a scorpion and a frog situation where she's going to sting us halfway across the water. But the fact that she's willing to come out openly and question him and talk about the prices and talk about the healthcare situation, I think that's a positive. Dingus McNally says, Rocha, with only 2 months left of the year, who is your leading best actor and best actress of 2025? If the Oscars were tomorrow, who would get it? Oh, man, that's a great question. I guess DiCaprio by default right now. I guess I would say, hold on. Because, I haven't seen a lot of these other films. What was it? Let me see here. Okay, best actor predictions. Here we go. Let's look at what Clayton wrote there. Clayton Davis wrote there in Variety. He's got Chalamet and Marty Supreme. I haven't seen it. DiCaprio in One Battle After That. I have seen that 4 times. Wagner Moura in Secret Agent. I haven't seen that. Ethan Hawke and Dylan Moon in Blue Moon. I haven't seen that. Dwayne Johnson, The Smashing Machine. Sure, I put him in there. Michael B. Jordan in Sinners. I would absolutely consider him for a nomination. I'm going to see the British Springsteen movie on the 20th. I'm driving up to LA to see it with Shannon McClung. Joel Edgerton, Train Dreams. Just saw the trailer over the weekend. Looks great. I haven't seen it. George Clooney, Jay Kelly. I haven't seen it. So yeah, I can only tell you, I guess. Well, should I give it to? No, I guess I would give it to Michael B. Because those 2 characters he created, and they were so distinctly different from each other. I thought it was an exceptional acting performance. And as the film goes along, what happens to those characters and how he portrays them and plays them, I think that's better than what DiCaprio did. But again, I haven't seen the other film, so I can't say. My feeling is that Chalamet is probably the odds-on favorite. Maybe Daniel Day-Lewis for Amenity, but we will see. What other names have the guy got? Hugh Jackman, Ballad of a Small Player. Colin Farrell. Maybe that might be a dark horse, Ballad of a Small Player. People, clearly the Academy likes Edward Berger, and they love Colin Farrell. So we will see if he gets the nomination. Actress. Is there an actress? Let me see. In every category. Here we go. Actress. Oh, actor. Here we go. Jessie Buckley and Hamnet. Haven't seen it. Cynthia Erivo, Wicked for Good. Haven't seen it. Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue. No fucking way. Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another. I thought it was a star-making term, but I don't think that's necessarily a Best Actress nomination, to be honest with you. Renata Rensby in Sentimental Value. Have not seen it. Let's see who else they could have on the list here. Amanda Seyfried, Testament of Anne Lee. Haven't seen it. Emma Stone Begonia. Haven't seen it. Sydney Sweeney Christie. Haven't seen it. Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. A lot of people think she's the odds-on favorite, even though Variety has her at 9th here. Jennifer Lawrence, Die My Love, 10th. Yeah. There's no one else. There's nothing else. Weapons, Julia Garner. No way. Yeah. So a lot of the movies that people might be nominated from haven't come out yet, brother. So I guess if I was to give it today, of the things I've seen, yeah, it'd be tough for actress of the things I've seen. Yeah, I wouldn't even feel comfortable doing it. I would have to say Jessie Buckley just from the trailers. That's a cop-out, but that's what I would have to say. So that's my answer to you. Thank you for the question, though. I appreciate it, my man. Fred Tastic says, The Rocha, and I don't disagree on many things, but I really enjoyed Here Comes the Boom. Every joke he tried to, every joke he tried to kiss someone, I was like, get in line. Every time he tried to kiss Salma Hayek, I was like, get in line. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought Here Comes the Boom was terrible. Oh, my God, it was so annoying. Here Comes the Boom. Oh, it was not my jam at all. All right, so let's move on to the Streamlabs. How many of these do I have? Oh, just one or two. Oh, just one. Okay, one Streamlab. Fantastic saying again. Jay Rocha speaking the truth. Excellent interview with Jason Clark, and I was excited how impressed he was with your intro. Yeah, me too. I thought that was really nice of him. Also, people who disagree with my opinions always assume they know why. If they were smart, they'd know not to do that. Oh, well. Well, there you go. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate that. All right, that's all the questions we have. Perfect timings. We're at the 2-hour mark, wrapping it up here. Some people asked if I'd seen Crown Jewel. I have not watched Crown Jewel yet. I don't have the ESPN Plus, so not yet. I'm gonna get it at the end of October because it's just an extra $6 with the plan that I already have on Hulu. So I'll get it just so I can watch those things. But I heard it was fine. I heard the AJ Styles and Cena match was great. I watched highlights of the Tiffy Vakura match. Man, Stephanie was carrying her, man. I don't know. I don't have the Tiffy time thing that other people do. Yeah, and you say it's a classic, Connor. I watched the clip out on TikTok. This dude was reacting. Watching them do the multiple like finishers that from every other wrestler, that was amazing. Fucking amazing. So I can't wait to watch that match. But then I heard the Kabuki Warriors match was excellent, so I want to see that as well. So I'll definitely be watching it at some point, either tonight or tomorrow. We will see. But there you go. And Cameron knows. Are you watching Task? Cameron, I watched the whole show. They sent me the screeners early, so I haven't been reviewing it because I watched all of it already. So I was going to wait till the final episode drops, and then I'll do a spoiler review, maybe with the Geek Buddies, because Michael and Shannon have been watching it as well. So maybe we'll do like an extra Geek Bite where the three of us review that series. But I love the show. I think the show was better than Mayor of Easttown. It's the same people that made it. And I thought this was better than Mayor of Easttown. It got into the darker stuff. And I thought the twist was great. I kind of called the person who was the mole. I kind of called that early for a couple of reasons. But I didn't see the what happens over the last, because we're in the last two episodes, right? I didn't see what happened in the last two episodes. Like I didn't see that coming. This is what I'm saying. I watched the last two episodes. I didn't see what happens coming in those last two episodes. So strap the fuck in, everybody. This is a great show. It's a fucking great show. All right. Thank you. Oh, fantastic. My Cowboys don't disappoint. Sorry, Winston. Yeah. Tell them that tomorrow, buddy. Oh my God. What a loss. I couldn't believe they lost to the fucking Panthers. Oh, but we'll be talking about that on Tuesday on Spill the Tequila for sure. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. This was just, a bug up my ass, and I felt like hanging out with you all live. I'm going to be doing this more, so I hope you guys want it, and you'll keep coming back and hanging out and send in your topics and questions, because I like talking about stuff that isn't just what I want to talk about. And KJ asked some really great questions. All you did, really, but KJ asked some nice, interesting questions that were not to do with my topics. And I like that on a show like this, because I get self-conscious when I have a host and a co-host, and you're asking me questions about stuff that has nothing to do with them. I can sense Jeff's uncomfortability, and sometimes Mike or Shannon's, and so or Winston sometimes too. So I like it when you save it for this. So I'm going to do these more so that you guys can send those questions in there. We can have fun conversations. I think night ones are really good as well. Maybe like go until midnight or something. Starting at 8, going for like 4 hours could be a lot of fun. But we'll see. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Please remember to subscribe down below. Hit that bell button. Remember the part 1 of Scarface is out on the Cine-Files. Remember that the Tuesday morning podcast, me, Mike, and Shannon from the Geek Buddies talking about talking about Tron with FM DeMarco. That's out. And my interview with Jason Clark. Please don't forget about that. That's up. Watch it now, especially if you watch the first 2 episodes of Last Frontier, which I like. That show was good. It's not a great show, but it's a damn good show. So I highly recommend it if you all haven't watched it yet on Apple TV. All right, take care of yourselves. Be well. And remember what I say at the end of every episode. Please, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next week, or no, next hour, next day, next week, next month, please make sure you do that. We're heading into the holiday season. This is where it gets tough for a lot of people, including me. So, I can't encourage you enough to do the things you need to do to stay level, to stay on point, to process and go through your mental health stuff, whether it's reading a book or reading a favorite passage or poem, or taking a hike or a walk, calling a friend or a family member and like just laughing with them about stuff, watching some of your favorite movies or TV shows, whatever you have to do. please make sure you do that. Please make sure you have a plan for yourself. I think it's really the most important thing is develop a plan for yourself for when these feelings come. So like figure out what works for you. And so that when the feelings come, you can turn to that plan and put it in motion. There's nothing more effective in life than having tools to deal with stuff that comes up for you when you're dealing with your emotions. It's super essential, you know? So just a bit of a tip there for you all who may not have constructed a plan for yourselves. Make sure you do that because it's important because you can turn to that. Put it on your phone, put it in your notes app, or put it on post-it on your computer monitor or in your room. It's super important so that you can go, okay, now I need to do this. Now I need to say this to myself. Now maybe I can watch or listen to something. Now I'm going to take a walk, or now I'm going to work out, or now I'm going to do this. It's really important. So just putting that out there. All right. Thank you guys so much again. Love you madly. And I'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of The Truth here on the John Rocha channel. Peace. Enjoy your Sunday.